Hi everyone, my name is Nguyen, and with me here is John Tom Dang here. We are talking about virtual machines and containers. In this presentation, we are going first talking about virtual machines, and second one we go talking about containers and how to use Dockers with a demonstration. Nowadays, every developers had one thought about Dockers, right? And with that trending, we're our team trying to make a similar revision of it and both comparison about Dockers and virtual machine, which different it is. So first, let's dive into what is a virtual machine as a definition is a virtualized instance of a computer that performs almost all of the same functions as a computer, but including an application and operating system. And briefly, we can say, next please, the virtual machine is a set of instance that can be run on another machine, on a physical machine that's hard to use resources such as memory, storage, RAM, or network. In the past, the virtual machines play an important role by using it for a simulation so that developer can simulate their platform. For example, the environment on Android Studio, on iOS Studio. Yeah. And the second one is the shared hosting. This one physical can be many different kind of hosting that can be shared. And now I will hand to Nghĩa for the next section discussion about containers and Dockers.
Hi everyone, my name is Nghĩa. Thank you, Wing, for handing it to me. So I'm going to talk about containers and Dockers. So on the other hand, the container is typically defined as a standard unit of software that packages up code and all its dependencies so the application runs quickly and reliably from one computing environment to another. And the Docker is typically a platform for building, distributing, and running containers. It helps developers package applications into containers, ensuring that the applications work the same way across different computing ecosystems. But to simplify it, the relationship between Docker and containers usually is that the Docker provides the tools and platform to manage the life cycle of containers from development to deployment. It wraps software in a complete file system that contains everything needed to run, like the code, the runtime, system tools, libraries, etc. So after learning about Dockers, let's shift to Docker images. Docker images are the templates from which these containers are created, and Docker Hub, the cloud-based repository, are these images are stored and shared. First of all, Docker images are lightweight, standalone, executable packages that serve as a blueprint for containers, aka the runtime instances of these images. When you run a Docker image, it becomes a container. So what will we do with these images? This is when we need Docker Hub. A Docker Hub is a cloud-based registry where users can share uploads and download Docker images across different environments. These are to speed up the development and deployment process for the software project. Now we move on to the comparison part. For the Docker containers, between the Docker containers and virtual machines. Okay, for the first, we're going to compare about their operating system. For Docker container, the operating system runs on top of the host operating system, while for the virtual machine, each instance has its own guest operating system. Docker container is controlled by the container engine, while the virtual machine is controlled by hypervisor. And for the weight of the Docker container, it is lightweight because they do not require extra load of hypervisor. But on the other hand, for virtual machine, it is heavier due to the emulation of a complete host, including the operating system.
Next one about the isolations. It provides security on Docker containers and allow multiple container things to run simultaneously on a given host. But on a virtual machine, it's slower due to its overhead of running a full operating system on it. The second one is the performance. The Docker container offer a better performance due to above problem. But and the virtual machine is slower due to it's using a full operating system. And in use case, we can summarize by the Docker containers can be used for the ideal of microservice system, CI/CD, and DevOps practice. In contrast, the virtual machine is ideal for tasks such as accessing virus-infected data and testing on operating system, or even a simulation for mobile phone application. Okay, so this is our script to run a very simple setup of database Dockers using Dockers. And this one is declared versions, and we declare two different services. The first one is the database service, which running on a MySQL image. And the command, we can set the password for here. And also, the second one is the Admire, the MySQL manager tool for it. And you can see when we run this file by using the command, we can use the command to run it up by using a Docker compose up. This one is a Docker compose, a part of Docker by running many different kind of password. And we can see here it is keep running. We can do it by using localhost 8080 to set up. This is Adminer. Oops. Yeah, this is our database that we are hosting on Docker, which very simple to set up without installing many different things, but just a script only. And you can see this is a database, our real database on a very lightweight environment system. So now let's go part to the question and answer.
So now let's move on to the Q&A question because these are the most commonly asked questions regarding the virtual machines and Docker's container. So first of all, we have how do security practices differ between VM, which abbreviates for virtual machines, and Docker containers. So for the security practices for virtual machines typically offers a high degree of isolation by default since it operates independently with its virtual hardware, which makes them a little bit more secure against system level attacks, while on the other hand, Docker containers, they share the host operating system's kernel, which makes them more vulnerable. But as time goes by, Docker and the container system have developed security feature. The containers scanning for vulnerabilities, using namespaces to isolate resources, employing secrets to limit what resources a container can use. Let's move on to the second question. Can Docker containers and virtual machines be used together for an organization? So, virtual machines and Docker containers can be used together. In cloud environments, containers are deployed within virtual machines to leverage the scalability and isolation of virtual machines along with the efficiency of containers. So, this approach allows developers to take advantage of the rapid deployment of containers while benefiting from the isolation and security features of virtual machines. Now let's move on to the final question. So in real life, we're going to discuss about the cost efficiency between utilizing virtual machines and Docker containers for companies, organizations, and teams. So in real life, for when talking about virtual machines, it usually requires higher infrastructure and operational costs due to needing more hardware resources and potential licensing fees. And it also provides strong isolation and security, which is beneficial for applications requiring full operating system control, potentially saving on security and compliance costs. Regarding the Docker containers, it has lower infrastructure costs as containers are more lightweight and allow for better hardware utilization, and operational savings from streamlined deployment, scaling, and management, supporting microservices architectures for long-term efficiency gains. But using both virtual machines and Docker containers, organizations and companies, it will be introduced some operation, even though using both methods has some operational complexity, but in the end it can lead to overall cost saving